Hello, and welcome to a quick guide on how to apply for a grant on the Beecan system. We've recently made some changes to Beecan to make it simpler and easier for you to apply for a grant. So today what we're going to do is go through the grant system itself, how to browse the funding programs, find the right one for yourself, apply for the grant and answer the questions, get a bit of support if needed, and also go and submit your application as well. So first thing that's important is to make sure that you're registered on our site, which is www.beecan.org. If you're not already registered, just head there and click the registration button. You can answer all the questions and I'll get to where we are now. Also, we have a little guide there as well that I'll include in the description below. It will talk you through that process. But today we're going to act as if you've already registered as a member of Beecan and you've just logged in. And once you put your login details, this is where you end up with this screen here, which is the dashboard. And on here, you can see all the details about the new updates that we've sent out to everybody, system updates, things that you may want to know about, new initiatives. We also have the support hub at the top there, which gives you a bit more information for your local area. And also the resources and support section on the left-hand side is where we keep a repository of all policies, documents, any sort of guidance that we think might be helpful for you as a charity or organisation. And today what we're going to do is have a look at the bottom left-hand side, which is the Browse Funding Programme button, the one with a little piggy bank on there, and we're just going to click on that. And then what will happen is I'll come to the screen where we've got all our funding programs, and you'll notice there's quite a few here, and there's about 6 pages as it stands at the moment. And in each one of these applications, you've got the logo, you've got the description where you can go find out more about the application, the grant itself. Add to my list, which is like a favourites list of different grants that you can add now. So if you find a few that you are thinking about applying, you can store them all in one place rather than search each time. Or the orange apply button, which then sends you straight to the Beecan application system where you can apply online, which we're going to go through today. If grants don't have that orange apply button, that means you need to apply to them directly, and we're just providing some information on our system there. So you can just click on the description of that sort of grant and that'll take you for more information. But in this instance, what we're going to do, we're going to act as if we're an East Riding group looking for funding below £500 for a small project that we're looking at. And the best way to do that really is to use that search functionality I mentioned before. You can put a bit of text in here if you're looking for something specific, if you know the name of the grant that you're looking for. You can search by area, type of service, say that's arts and media or carer services or community development or whichever of the boxes you can go through there. The beneficiaries, you can go through any type of beneficiary on there as well. So people with disabilities, young people, helping homeless people, or unemployed or veterans, whichever of those sections are relevant, you can search on that as well. But I would say it's important to have a broad search if you're looking quite wide. And let's say we're going to go from East Riding group in this section. So I'm going to go for the area. As you can see, there's all different areas on here, but I'm going to select East Riding of Yorkshire. So once I've selected that as my field to search for, I'm going to click search. And this will come up with all the East Riding grants. I'll say what you can do is you can have a look through these grants, have a look through the information, read up about them, get an idea of their aims, look at the things that you'll have to do to be applicable for that grant itself. Look at the funding items, look at the non-fundable items, look at the beneficiary types and services, and make sure that works for you and make sure that meets in with what you were looking for. What you can do is just go back and have a look at these different grants and have a look at the different information, all of them at any time. And again, some of them will have more information, criteria, opportunity to download some documents, whichever information the funder has provided. But in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to go apply for the East Riding High Fibre grant on the right hand side here. And as mentioned before, all you simply do to apply for a grant, once you read through the information, is click the apply button. And then you're presented with the start of the application process. So applications are separated up into sections of each questions, but you can move through these at any time. If you look at the bottom right hand side here, you can see the next section button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that. And that takes me to the next section of the questions of the grant. And I can go through, have a look at all of those different sections, back and forth. And what you'll mainly see in an application are the details about yourself, some questions relating to the program itself, the outcomes. You'll have some questions here. Then you'll always have a budget section at the end here, and then a declaration before you submit. And as with the previous and next sections. You can also see here as well a save application as draft button. That means that any time that you're going through your application, you've written some details out, but you want to go sort of come back, check some more information, or get someone else to check it through our request support function, then you can save that application anytime. And applications that have been saved appear in your funding application section on the side here. So what we're going to do is we're going to sort of populate some of this information here. I've got some little text boxes that I've put in from Word, and I would always recommend that with grants. Write them out and then put them onto the system here, and copy and paste them. And if you are going to do that, just make sure it fits the numbers there. And you can see there's a little word count here below as well. Make sure you're in with those number of words. So I'm going to fill in a bit of information here. But say I really don't know what my budget's going to be for this grant yet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that application as draft, and that means that anytime I can come back to them and check it again. And as I say, those draft applications are always saved in the funding applications box on the left hand side here. And then you have the options to delete or discard it, which I'd always sort of act cautiously with that button just in case. It will double check that you want to do that. The request check button, so we'll go for that in a little bit, but that section is about if you were looking to submit an application to us, but you wanted somebody from Hey Smile Foundation at the Hive Beecan team just to check through it, we can help from there. Or you can then continue the application, and which takes you back to where we were before, straight back into the application, and you can have a look at the details. So I noticed we didn't fill in this section here, so we'll tick a box. We put some details in here but didn't complete this one, so we'll put a number of people supported was 50. This is just a guess information here, and then we're going to go to the budget. So the budget area is quite a vital section of any grant really, and this is a section really that demonstrates to a grant provider that you've researched this idea and financially you've looked at the appropriate costs and you've tried to make that as cost effective as possible. So when you're adding budget items, I would always encourage you to put as much clarity into that as you do to the questions as well. So adding a budget item is very simple. You just click the Add Budget Items button, select the type of budget heading that you want to go for, the description, the value, and whether it's a capital revenue item. And there is some little questions here little help points to help you here. So the budget heading, if you can't find the item that you're looking for, say you're looking for something that's marketing and it's not showing up on here, may mean that it's not fundable through this grant. So just check through the guidance details there. But say in this instance that we had wanted to fund a laptop to support a group, I would put the details here as a material item. We can have a look at there what type of item it is. So use the description. Say use this description to be as clear as you can. So in this case, we're not going to be very descriptive. We're just going to put a laptop for supporting volunteers out in activities. We'll put a value for that, £500 we're going to put here, and then we're going to make sure that's a capital item. Again, capital items you can read a bit more about here. So capital items are one-off equipment, buildings to prove a land. Revenue is more like your day-to-day running costs. You notice here it's updated your amount required, and what you can do is you can add as many budget items as you want. But again, you can also delete those budget items with the little trash can button on the right hand side, and you'll just double check with you to make sure that you don't want those items. So say you put those through details in, but you thought, well, I need somebody to check over this. I'm not too sure if the grant really screams what we wanted to do, and wondering if somebody could give us a bit of advice. What you can do is get us to do a check for you. So myself or one of the team at the Hive team will have a look at the application, have a look at the issues on there that you may have been querying, and just check it over and give you some support and advice. What we don't do is write bids for you, but we will give you some guidance and support and point you in the right direction in certain areas if we feel it might help you with your application being more successful. So to do that, what I'm going to do is click Save Application. And again, that brings us to that funding applications button that you can find all the time on the left hand side here. And this time, I'm going to do Request a Check. So what will happen here, this is a little addition, comes up with a little box at the top, and what you can do is you can put a little message into the person who you look to ourselves to get them to check through it, and just a little bit of guidance. So can you help me with the budget item? Don't know if the description is enough. Do some updates on there, and if you've got anything like Grammarly and like myself, then it will offer you to update some of those bits as well on there. So it is smart, and it will work with other software as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to submit that, and you can see that has changed to check requested. What will happen is from our other end, I'll receive a notification to come through, and it'll say that there is a message for us. We'll check through that and then come back to you. And that's where you'll see an indication on your dashboard to notify you, an email to say there's a notification about your application as well. And when you go into the browse funding, so when you go into your funding applications section, you can see that there's a check been requested already there. So what we're going to do in this case is act as if that check had been gone through and everybody said that that application is fine and to proceed. So what we're going to do is click continue application, and again this brings you back to where we were before, straight back into the application. Same functionality, you can go through the sections again, check the information that you've done is correct, check your budget items, which will say is correct on here, and then submit your application. Now if you are missing a bit of information, as you can see here, I'm missing a couple of bits of details that I haven't filled in here. When you click submit an application, it'll come up to say that it'll go through a description of the items that you haven't updated or let us know about within that. So in this case, it's telling us that the name of the person with the authority to sign a grant letter has not been inputted, and their role within the organisation has not been inputted. So I'll just pop my details in quickly. And then I'm going to submit the application. Now you can see the application there. The status of the application before was draft. We can see the date we've applied for it and the application submitted. Now once the application is submitted, you may get some questions from the grant people, and they'll come back to you again through a notification. They may want to know a bit more information. When you receive a message received there, and then you'll be able to go into the manage section and have a look at any questions. Also here you can monitor the application and look at that here, questions, and if there's been a response as well. Once the grant team have made a decision about the application, they will send a response to you. And if you're fortunate enough to be accepted on that, which I hope you are, what will happen is you'll be requested to accept that grant with any terms and conditions that are applied on there. Once you accept that grant, then they'll send you some information over via email to support the application, your backs forms, your schedules, and we'll go from there. But hopefully that's been enough of a guide for you to help you out with the application system. I appreciate this is a computer system and some people might not be very familiar with those. What I would say, if you're looking for support and help from us, always give us an email at hive@heysmilefoundation.org. That's hive@heysmilefoundation.org. We can go through anything for you there. We'll support you with the applications. And good luck with your new future grants. Thank you.